Well, thank you so much for joining us today. Let's get a little background on you guys. Fernando, why don't you start?
Hey guys, Fernando Garcia here from Arizona. Been in the industry 12 years. I do sales consulting over there. Recently joined the Grow Roll team, right, to help with international
Woo-hoo.
markets and hoping to help all kinds of cultivations or labs get their product around the world.
My name's JJ Crossen. I've been in the industry 24 years. Originally started cultivating up north, doing a bunch of depths and outdoor. Eventually moved back to the city. Opened up Green Coast with a few of their partners. Ran that for 14 years and did a lot of consulting and builds in San Fernando Valley. And after that ran its course, I went to work with Lux and Athena for the last 6 or so years, and just recently left the company back in April, and I'm now with Advanced Nutrients, and been working with Nick from the Canna Cribs episodes all the way to Grow World, and yeah, man, just happy to be here.
From day one. And today, guys, we're going to talk about international markets. So any countries you want us to chat about, these guys have flown all over the world, South America most recently. Maybe we kick that off. What was it like at your trip down in Argentina?
Recently, I just went down to the ARG Expo down in Argentina. It's in Buenos Aires every year. It's usually the second week of October. If you've never been, I would highly recommend it. You would barely be able to stand in this show if it was there. It is super packed. The people are super passionate. If you even look on Google, they're the second highest Googler of the word cannabis and marijuana other than people in the U.S. Yeah.
That's crazy. And is it more of a consumer market right now, kind of like getting its legs into a full-blown market?
I mean, it's definitely 2001 in Los Angeles. You know what I mean? They all have medical cards. It's very easy to get them. Just like then you have a headache, a tummy pain, whatever, pay your $100, get your prescription, and then you can actually have caregivers licenses, right? So you can have up to 250 members underneath you and have your own sort of collective. And that's where we're at right now currently in Argentina.
Yeah, it sounds similar. We just went to Mary Jane Berlin, and kind of like the social club model, right?
Yes.
You have like a cap at how many patients you can have, and quantity of plants per patient as well.
100%, yep. Same model they have in Australia, same in Spain for the most part. They're all about 15 to 20 years behind, California and most of the states that have, went recreational, Colorado being one, Arizona being another one, right? So, yeah, about 15, 20 years behind us right now.
Well, it's kind of weird. Like, we say that they're behind us with these types of laws, but in some senses, they're ahead of the United States right now. Like Colombia, for example, I mean, let's talk about that market. They can export, all around the world.
Very true. Sorry.
I was gonna say those are some of the intricacies we're still trapped in over here in the States, right? We can't move even from a state to another, and that's where we're getting left behind, right? The rest of the
Right.
world even seeks certifications, right? So I think we still have a long way to go here in the States. However, when it comes to expertise and branding and all these other things, we're at the top, So
Yeah.
we have pros and cons.
Yeah, and I was gonna, make a point to what you were saying as far as, in those other markets, they're really close, as far as their passion and the tech and stuff like that. The genetics are down there. They just don't, the laws have not changed, and they're not gonna move that fast. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're seeing country to country commerce happen, down there faster than our interstate commerce.
For
Colombia to Brazil. We filmed a farm in Colombia that actually got acquired by Ease Labs. Plana Global got acquired by Ease Labs from Brazil. So they're vertically integrating their supply chain in South America before we are,
Yeah, I mean, to your point, yeah. I mean, they are ahead of us in the GMP certified market, right? We can't go out of state. We can't ship international, where Colombians, Argentinians, most of these other countries, they were set up for GMP right away. So they can export, import oils, flowers, you name it, where we're handcuffed here. And
Right.
I mean, I tell everybody, I said the next huge injection of capital into cannabis is when Californians can finally export that Cali weed legally internationally. I mean, no other country wants weed from Oklahoma. No disrespect, right?
Oklahoma in the house. Hey-o.
No disrespect, Oklahoma.
Too
but
early for those
trust
jabs.
Me, if Germany had a choice, if Spain had a choice, if Australia had a choice of where their cannabis came from, it would be California, 100%. So I tell all my Cali peeps, hold on. If you're in the black, just hang in there. Once this law changes and you can export, you're not going to be able to grow enough. Period. Point blank. We're actually going to take weed from Oklahomans and say it's Californian and send it out. 100%.
That's right. So, Fernando, you were just down in Brazil. What was that show like?
I think, like JJ said, they're 20, 25, 30 years behind maybe. I think the biggest producer we met was about 300 kilos a year.
Okay.
It's about 50 pounds a month. I think a big issue that they're running into right now, I mean, it's the early days, right? They still have to learn all these techniques. They have to set up their processes. A big thing I saw was the amount of flower coming out of the plants, right? 50, 100 grams per plant, that's nothing, right? Compared to what we're used to over here. So there's a lot of those processes they still have to work through. However, they can import oil, right? So they have one, they don't have the other, right?
Right. And is that a genetics issue or education, cultivation, knowledge?
I think it's a little bit of all of it. They definitely are lacking the education, right? Whether, you watch a bunch of things on YouTube or you read books, a lot of people don't learn that way, right? A lot of growers that I know, they learn hands-on. They want to be in the room. You almost have to hold their hand to get them through some of these steps, right? And I think that's where they're lacking as far as tech. They don't have a lot of the products that we have in those countries. They're really hard to get things registered as far as Canna panels, DHUs,
right.
ProGuard, all these tools. And I think that's where Grow World is really coming in, is a key player, because people in these other emerging countries can sign up to Grow World, right? And then there's a list of brands on their platform that offer trials in lighting, nutrients, I mean, you name it. So if you're out there looking to get into cannabis or trying new products, the first step you should do, or next step, would be to join Grow World, look at what brands are on there, what products are on there, and start trying things out. That's my best advice to everybody out there.
I appreciate that. And Grow World's completely free. Just go to growworld.com. It's a trial marketplace, kind of like a Costco sample. You're going through your aisles and you want advanced nutrients. You want, these LEDs or under canopy lights. We're actually expanding into genetics as well. And Fernando, you want to talk a little bit about 2026, international brokerage through the same platform?
Sure, yeah, of course. So as JJ and Nick were saying, right, Grow World is a great platform to help growers, right, get their best product that they can get, right? Or, sometimes it's really hard to change your nutrients, right? You don't know how they're going to work. So, hey, by getting a little bit of it, you may be able to do so. Now, what we're trying to do is switch that platform. We've already helped those people grow the flower. Now let's help them sell it, right? That's one of the hardest things, I think, not just setting up the right relationships, but making sure that everything follows through, right? For example, in my business in Arizona, a lot of the things that I do, it's sort of making sure that the flower that's supposed to be delivered gets delivered how it's supposed to be, and that these guys pay on time, right? Or that everything flows smoothly. And that's, I think, the opportunity with having flower or having regulated product on platform or on the grower platform is going to help us do, right? Making sure they have all their bells and whistles ready, that everyone's vetted, and that will help make an impact, right, to all these newer countries getting into the game.
Yeah, so that's the goal.
That's what the next year looks like, right? For Grow World, for ourselves, and I think for the rest of the industry. We really have to hone in on the international market. That's going to be the future, and you're in it or you're not. You get with it or you don't.
Yeah, and you guys are here today. You can be part of the international markets, right? We all are. We don't have to be stuck in just our state. There are genetic licensing deals available. There are brand licensing deals available, as you guys heard earlier with David. Lots of opportunities to get involved. And yeah, go for it.
One of the things, going off of that is, and what JJ was saying too, genetics, right? Genetics a big thing in Brazil. I didn't see a lot of really good high quality genetics yet. Another big thing is growing equipment, right? Maybe they're not there. They don't have these processes yet. big challenge, though, that people have to look at when working with new markets, it's all the logistical compliance, taxes, right? Brazil has a big challenge with taxes, about 50% tax on any imports. So that's huge, right? If you're buying a big machine, if you're buying lights. So got to get creative with it.
Yeah, and sourcing domestically, like let's say you are growing in Colombia, for example, how many nutrient companies can sell there, right? That's kind of how we look at that perspective is you might be waiting months to get that shipment into your facility in Argentina or Brazil. So one of the things I'm most looking forward to is Advanced Nutrients building a manufacturing plant in Brazil.
Yeah. Yes, yeah, we are definitely spinning up a manufacturing plant down in Brazil so we can supply the South American market with the same type of quickness and precision that we do North America as well, right? And in Europe where we have manufacturing as well. So I'm looking really forward to 2026 once that manufacturing is online, because then through Grow World, all these growers in Colombia, Argentina, Venezuela, Peru, you name it, right? Chile, they can join the platform, which is free, right? And then click on Advanced, and now we can send it directly to them from our manufacturing, right? Whereas before, I would have had to try to talk to each one of our distribution partners in each of these different markets, figure out what the total they would be willing to do, right, per month, per quarter, and then how they would want that back, whether it be cash or in product, right? And that just becomes a lot of extra
difficult.
work. It's just a lot of work. So having our own manufacturing, being able to have one platform and us supply, it just makes most sense.
Yeah, it's a game changer. I'm also curious about the different cultivation styles that you guys saw on your recent trips. Maybe, Brazil versus Argentina versus Colombia. Let's start with you, JJ. Like, what did you see down there as far as cultivation, like large scale?
I'll tell you, I do have a little piece of one of the first GMP certified facilities down in Argentina. It's in Chaco. The name's Canifis. And when I met the young guy, he reached out to me on Instagram, was like, hey, I want to build one of these. I want to see Jungle Boys facilities. I was like, hey, fly out here, dude. I'll show you. I'll take you around with me for a week to a bunch of different facilities, sort of let you see how we're doing things in California. And he came out, had an interpreter with him, went home and built a facility, right? Unfortunately, he already had DWC in his brain, and he thought he was going to build a 200-light single-room DWC facility. And I was like, bro, this is why you're here visiting me today. That is the last thing you want to do. DWC is fine when you have one light in a tent or in the corner of your house, but commercially, 200 plus lights, it's not viable. They had already purchased a bunch of the plastic, so they did experiment with it a little bit. Part of their veg is still, Aero or DWC, but the other parts of production are now in quick-filled cocoa, thank God. Yeah. So
Thank the Lord.
there's a little bit of and at the Expo, I run into guys all the time that they must have all read the same book down there because they all want to do DWC commercially. And I'm like, no, that is not what we do. It's fine for your house, but it's not something you would do commercially. And then I tell them why. There's absolutely no safety net. Your chiller goes out, you're done, right? One plant gets pythium or root rot, now they all got it. So as soon as I started explaining the whys we don't do things here in the U.S., they're like, oh, I'm using cocoa. Yeah, what was I thinking? And I'm like, well, now you get it. But reading a book, it tells you it's the fastest, the most vigorous, the best. You're going to grow the highest quality weed. And that's all these kids are doing is reading books.
Written by a manufacturer of DWC.
Correct. Correct.
And what about Brazil, Fernando?
So I was recently in Brazil, like you said, and then Colombia also. I saw a lot of plants on the ground, right? Which is a lot of things we don't see a lot of. We see a lot of indoor here in the U.S., right? And we don't see plants on the ground as it is. So that was interesting to see. A lot of greenhouses. Yeah, you truly don't see a lot of indoors over there. So it's kind of a wildly different market from what it is up here. I didn't see any cocoa, for example, which is a weird sight. Yeah, I think they still have a long way to go, right? With their weights, with what they're putting out there, genetics.
Yeah, and so we went down to Colombia a couple of years ago.
Yep.
We went to Bogota and North Bogota, like Nemocon, Tocancipá areas. and I was extremely impressed. I mean, I saw massive scale greenhouses, saw some smaller scale greenhouses, not as much indoor in the Colombian market. Maybe that will, be next. I don't know. But we also saw quite a bit of extraction labs. They're making, again, pharmaceutical grade GMP oil. 100% for export. I think Colombia, Nico, you might have to correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they're building a domestic market now, or something's getting pushed through for like a medical domestic market in Colombia.
Yeah, they recently passed.
So
it, I think, 2 weeks
the
ago.
bill passed, and now we're waiting for the decree of application. So
Okay.
we know exactly what the rules be.
Okay, so there will be potentially a domestic Colombian market where you can, like a medical dispensary type vibe or something like that?
It's like in every country, until you don't know how it will be applied, it's very hard to say.
Yeah.
Will it require a specific document from the doctor? Will it be sold in specific locations? Or the other way around, just everyone can buy with a very simple document. So we are just in that process.
Right. And you're from Bogota,
Yes.
right? So you know the market fairly well. In South America, would you say Colombia is exporting the most cannabis out of any country in South America?
So there is Uruguay too.
Uruguay as well, but from like a population or I guess mass, is Colombia exporting more than Uruguay, you think?
So Colombia is one of the best laws in South America because in a few words you can practically build anything in cannabis, products, flowers. You can export everything. So the law is very clear and very easy to apply. Where the industry is at right now is not a legal topic anymore. It's more like meeting the standards
Yeah.
of
QA.
of the international client, which is not easy.
Yeah. Yeah, we've been talking a lot about that with Fernando. He just went down to Colombia, visited with you. Thanks for hosting us. And just trying to figure that out, right? What are those quality standards that these other markets are demanding? Because it's different, right? Australia might have a different, threshold than Macedonia, for example.
So the thing is that you need to align three things: what the client wants, what the customs allow you to do, and what the law in the receiving country allow you to do. So Colombia is fine; they let you export anything, but that doesn't mean that the receiving country allows the product to
Right.
enter. And it's not because the law allows you to do something that the custom will be okay with it. So you need to have these three things, and when you boil down with these three items, there are not that many opportunities.
Yeah.
The other thing is that the few opportunities there are, like for example CBD flower in Switzerland or Czech Republic, the competition is very high. Like CBD has been growing in Europe for 10 years, even more. So it's not like, so you need to meet the standards of someone who has been growing for 10 years. And the other thing is you have no local market to support you. So it's not like you are already selling and you need to improve from there. So it's like, for the ones that know soccer, it's like directly playing the Champions League.
Right.
You can build, there is no level 2.
Yeah, that makes sense. You have any questions for our guests up here today?
I know them.
I know you know them. You have any questions for them?
Can you be more specific about Argentina? Like, what exactly is going on in Argentina? What can you do in Argentina right now?
I mean, currently what you can do in Argentina is you can get your medical license, right, as like an individual. There is opportunity, obviously, for GMP, facilities as well. Right now, there's not too many big facilities. Everything is, house grows, very, very small industrial buildings, almost like 2001 in Los Angeles, where we're renting, maybe 2,000 square feet, if that, So they're that far behind in a sense. There's very few people down there really looking to build super massive facilities because the market, like you said, there's no way to really sell, within your country yet. There's not like there's pharmacies, GMP, pharmacies where you can go in and pick up flowers. So again, my partnership with my friends down there at Cannabis, they wanted GMP right away. And now we have all these kilos produced and they're certified. But again, they're having to establish relationships with these international markets, right? And like you said, it does take what do they need, what do they want, and what are the requirements?
So I got a question. Based on what you're seeing over there in Argentina, do you think they will be adopting more of a dispensary model like we have here in the U.S., or sort of keep on more of like the association, sort of like Brazil works, and some of these other countries?
Well, I know my partners in Chaco, they're actually working with the government and Residencia to actually get their own collective so they can actually service patients right there in their own town. So I'm assuming that it'll probably work like that within each of the provinces down there. And then eventually they're gonna like try to get recreational passed and approved.
That's interesting. So Brazil set up in an interesting way also. You can apply with the government to get your own personal products to import them from California if you want to. But that's individual, right? And there's associations, which is how most of the industry seems to work over there, where all these growers are. Again, 400 plants. You got a long way to go.
Yeah.
But that's interesting. I think eventually Brazil, being such a big country, will turn more into a store model.
I definitely agree with you. As more of, I know there's some really good genetics down in Argentina already. I don't know how they got down there, but they have some really nice stuff. A lot of the rosin and hash is literally, I judge stuff when I go down there for these shows, and the rosin is, you wouldn't know if you were in the U.S. in Los Angeles at ZA. It's literally on point, you know. Some of the flowers hit and miss. But you know, I did smoke some really nice flower down there as well.
Nice. I think we have one final question from the audience here.
I had a question about South America. Is anywhere in South America able to produce GMP quality product?
I'd say Colombia.
GMP what, sorry?
GMP quality flour.
GMP quality flour.
You got Uruguay and Argentina and Colombia.
Yeah.
And
Argentina as well.
You have to be indoor to be GMP certified?
What was that? Sorry.
Do you have to have indoor cultivation to be GMP certified?
I don't think so,
No.
but we are indoor in Chaco, and yeah, they have really nice genetics. You know, really nice strains over there. You know, working. Yeah.
There's some cultivations in Colombia, like our friends at Clever Leaves, that have a GMP certification.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they're
Their
the
greenhouse.
largest in the country. Can you give him the mic back?
And that can be done with traditional outdoor and greenhouse field crops?
I think it's also the post-harvest SOPs as well.
Yeah.
Like when we went to go film Clever Leaves, we also filmed their extraction lab. So they get a lot of their certifications and how they post-harvest as well. At a different facility, EU GMP as well, which I think is one of the hardest ones to get. But they crush it. It's on YouTube. If you look up Clever Leaves Grow World, you can see it's like a 35-minute episode we produced down there.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. Well, guys, thank you so much for coming out. We have another segment coming up. So we got some croissant. Is that how you say it, Nico? Some coffee, some water. So stick around, and thanks for joining us.
Sounds like we need a trip to Buenos Aires.
Yeah, I'm in. You guys let me know.
Let's do it. Thank you.
go.
Thanks, guys.